Well, Senator Graham, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
You gave a deposition on behalf of 9/11 families who are suing the Saudi royal family in response to the Saudi government saying that they had been exonerated by the 9/11 Commission for having any role in the attacks. I wonder, for our audience's sake, if you could restate your position in that deposition and what you are basing that on.
My position is that there were very close contacts between persons who had been described as agents of the Saudi government and at least two of the hijackers in San Diego, California. And there is smoke that indicates that there may have been similar relationships elsewhere in the United States, including in Sarasota, Florida. That was basically what my deposition was. There were two other depositions filed by persons who had served on the 9/11 Commission. I co-chaired the congressional inquiry into 9/11, and those two people both said that it was not the intention of the 9/11 Commission to give Saudi Arabia a pass on their activities 9/11, and that in fact encouraged the continued investigation as to what that involvement had been.
In your opinion, could the hijackers have executed such a sophisticated plot without some outside help, or without help inside of this country?
No, and neither does anyone else who had a leadership position in investigating 9/11. The two chairs of the 9/11 Citizens Commission, the two chairs of the congressional inquiry, the chiefs of staff of both of those all agree with the proposition that it was highly unlikely that 19 people, most of whom didn't speak English, most of whom had not been in the United States, could have on their own carried out such a sophisticated attack. And therefore the question is, who was it that was providing them assistance, and what was the nature of that assistance?
Zacharias Moussaoui said recently that members of the Saudi royal family funded the attacks. Of course, the Saudi government denies that, and some are questioning Moussaoui's credibility. I'm wondering if what he's been saying fits with what you know in your role as having served on the joint inquiry.
Yeah, I can appreciate some questions that might be raised about Moussaoui's credibility as a witness, but it is consistent with other evidence that indicates there was a relationship between the Saudi government and Saudi organizations, including charities, and the 19, or at least some of the 19 hijackers, and then raising the question as to whether that assistance was provided to all of the 19 hijackers.
We're talking about the current king of Saudi Arabia, and the lawsuit describes him as an active leader of this group that they're suing.
I don't know what the current king's direct involvement is with the group that was involved in Bosnia-Herzegovina, but I know that members of the royal family and institutions that are responsive to the royal family had very specific ties to persons primarily of Saudi heritage who were living in the United States and who were themselves assisting some, if not all, of the hijackers.
If the king was the head of this organization that was providing funding to Al-Qaeda and providing safe haven for Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and its leaders, Osama Bin Laden, should the United States be worried about him being in charge of the country now?
Yes, the United States should be worried. This example in Bosnia-Herzegovina is just one part of the royal family's involvement with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda was founded by some of the leading business people of Saudi Arabia, has been substantially financed throughout its existence from Saudi Arabia, and the same pattern has been followed recently in the creation and sustaining of ISIS with very strong connections to Saudi Arabia. So the role of the Saudi royal family and institutions that it controls is very central to terrorist groups in the Middle East, And at least the American people ought to know that, so that they can form an opinion as to what does this mean and what should U.S. response be when one of its allies is shown to be so much a part of our most serious enemies.
Mm-hmm.